Hi, everyone. I'm the Chief of Staff at REACH, and it's my pleasure and privilege to be hosting our Q3 update tonight. We're going to give people a couple minutes to join. In the meantime, you'll be able to see the schedule on the screen for the evening. Welcome, everyone. I'm the Chief of Staff at REACH and have the privilege of hosting this call tonight. I'm super excited. To start, we're going to hear from our incredible founders. And then we will hear from our different team leads who are going to give you more insight into some of the successes they've had this past quarter and what they're most excited about as we close 2022. We'll also be having a developer panel with some of the developers that are really changing the world using Reach. And our incredible director of developer experience, JP Miller, will be leading that panel. So stay tuned. It'll be about in the middle of our call. And to start, I'd love to invite up our CEO and co-founder, Chris Swenor.
Hello.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. So you've been super busy. You were just in Singapore and now you're headed off to Colombia. How do you feel?
I am tired. Traveling quite a bit. I had to actually not only that, but before Singapore, I was actually at a different conference in Vermont. So I've just spent very little time at home.
I mean, so you've been doing a lot. Like we have a lot of new initiatives happening now at Reach. I think some of them you came about from your trip to Singapore, and it will also be a focus during your trip to Colombia. But to start, can you tell us a little bit about last quarter? You shared a little bit about Reach's origin story. So can you reiterate for everyone what Reach's vision is again, and kind of our approach for achieving it, and maybe how that has shifted or changed in the last quarter?
Excellent. So yeah, we're always learning. We're figuring out what people want, what people need, but our mission is still the same. We're trying to make blockchain boring. We're trying to make it so that that blockchain is mainstream. Trying to make it so that blockchain is the least exciting thing when you're talking about the application you're about to build. So all the same there, and still very successful. What has changed a little bit though is that what we've done is we've saw that education is still very important, but we want to actually get the developers beyond beginner level. I believe that we're gonna hear from Dev Experience pretty soon, but the idea is that we have a developer journey now. So not only is it that first lesson, but it's actually the multiple steps to get to a developer to actually the advanced level, so they can build anything on blockchain. So this is actually something I'm really excited about. The other thing that we're focusing on is less about bringing in the number of developers. We're still doing that, of course, but more focusing on providing to the entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. We learned that developers aren't necessarily the entrepreneur, that they love to build and they love to actually create things, but sometimes they need that idea and sometimes they need that business partner. So we're working on providing the tools needed to make sure that they have what it takes to build the applications that add true value to the blockchain. And we do that by, of course, Reach lowering the cost of what it takes to develop. One of the things that you actually did this last quarter was did a use case. You took a look at the cost of a popular protocol in the Ethereum space, Maker specifically, and we kind of estimated what it cost to actually for them to build that. But then what we did is we took a look at XBacked, which is one of the projects that are building on top of Reach, and we looked at a much more specific cost because we're friends with them, but what it took for them to build. And it ended up being about an 80% decrease in price. This is something that entrepreneurs will absolutely love, or have been loving so far building on Reach. And we want to really kind of keep leaning into that, making sure that we are providing all of the functionality, all of the resources that they need to build amazing products.
Yeah, I mean, those are some incredible results. I think it was actually 85% reduced cost of development. So going along those lines, what advice do you have maybe for these developers and companies that are, wanting to build a business at this time when we're in a bear market, but might be hesitant to do so? Like, what is it like trying to build a product and really scale a company right now?
Well, bear markets compared to bull markets suck. There's no getting around that. If anybody's been in a bull market, it's champagne and Lamborghinis. But the best thing about the bear markets is that it's a couple things. Number one, the distractions are It's time for building. It allows you to actually focus, allows you to focus on actually providing value. I keep saying providing value because so much in the blockchain space, people are using the blockchain hype to just raise money or get excitement. And during the bear market, there's a lot less of that because people aren't going gaga about blockchain. So it's all about how do you apply blockchain to problems in the everyday that truly adds value to the world. And investors are still investing. They're not, once again, throwing money around. There's still money available to invest. But it's much more focused on just building, and really builders, developers, the best companies come out of bear markets. So I'm really excited for the projects that I'm seeing that are currently building on Reach. Some amazing projects came out of the Boston hackathon just a couple weeks ago. Was it last couple weeks ago? And even the African bounty hacks that we did, we had so many people graduate and go through that. And the projects that they delivered are exponentially better than what we were seeing in the very early bounty hacks. So, bear markets are for building, and that's what people are doing.
Well, I've certainly seen that the bear market hasn't stopped us in the least bit, and we are actually trying to use it to bring more opportunities to developers elsewhere and in other communities. So I know, we love Algorand and are 100% dedicated to Algorand, but I also know, like sitting inside of the organization, that we're also really interested in growing our Reach community on EVM compatible chains on Ethereum. Can you tell people more like what they can kind of expect to see in Q4 and heading into 2023?
Yeah, I know Algorand's. I don't think it's a secret. Algorand's my favorite chain. I love the tech. I love the team. It's some of the best just building being done. Not even just in crypto, but just across the actual tech space. But I've always believed in a multi-chain future. So does actually Algorand. They talk about it all the time. But what this means is that we've spent a lot of time in the last 2 years focusing primarily on Algorand and learning a lot. Now, the next step is we learned a lot from that. Now let's start talking to those Ethereum people, those developers that want to build on Algorand and maybe also Ethereum. So we're making a big push into the EVM chains. We're talking to layer 2 partners about how to actually help them with dev acquisition. And there's some really exciting things that you're going to see tonight about how we're doing that. And I don't know if I want to spoil too much, but I'm really excited about the expanding into Ethereum.
Yeah, I think Cassandra and Jay are going to disclose a little bit more.
It won't be me releasing the alpha this time.
Yes, not tonight. Well, thank you so much, Chris. Before we head over to Jay, what are you most excited about for Q4?
I would say that the couple things I'm really excited about. Number one, on Algorand, I'm excited for box storage. Box storage is going to completely open the doors for so many different types of applications. One of them that I'm really excited for is the smart contract NFT, but pretty much every one of the applications we're going to be talking about to our Reach Labs project soon. They're all going to be using box storage to launch on Algorand. So I'm very excited about that. I'm also excited for, I'm going to drop a little bit of alpha, the smart NFT project that we're going to be releasing, the ERC 721, because it shows the world how easy it is to actually build functionalities into NFTs rather than just keeping them dumb. So both of those things I'm super excited for. And of course, traveling. I mean, I say I'm tired, but at the end of the day, I love seeing people in person, seeing what I can do, seeing what I can learn, and just making sure that I'm connected to the community as much as possible.
Amazing. Well, thank you. And we're going to hear from Chris later in the evening. He'll be interviewing our labs and also wrapping up. So thank you. And
thanks,
now I'm
Shanti.
going to invite Jay up.
Yo.
Hi, Jay. Yo. How's it going?
Excellent. How are you doing?
I'm good.
This
So
I am not in my car,
Yeah,
in some random place
it's
in
an
Utah.
upgrade.
I'm actually in the house. And
Yeah.
another secret is last time I was wearing a bathing suit and I put on a shirt. Now I'm wearing clothes.
For anyone who didn't see the Q2 update, we caught Jay while he was driving in his car, so it was super impressive. So Jay, Chris talked a little bit about what it's like to build during a bear market. Can you tell us why a developer at this time would want to take advantage of learning Reach, especially maybe if they're already super proficient in Teal or Solidity, and why a company may even find it worthwhile retraining their entire development teams?
Yeah. So I think that the answer to this question is to think about what people are worried about and sort of back up from there about whether those worries are warranted. I think that people are nervous about learning new technology because they think it will take a long time, and they think that it won't really improve things, and it won't really make a difference for their end users. That there's this idea that if you just even if you recognize that there's technical debt in your stack, that somehow it doesn't make an impact on users. With the first one, I think that learning Reach is easier than some people think. A lot of people, when they first get into blockchain, they try to learn one of the existing technologies like Solidity or Teal. And those things are extremely laborious to learn because you have to learn a lot about the low-level machine that you're running on. You have to learn a lot of low-level details about the network that you're working with. And Reach abstracts all of these things away so that when you write a Reach program, you really are writing a very basic JavaScript program and you have to learn a very small amount. So it's actually quite easy to learn Reach. We've had lots of experiences where people with no blockchain experience whatsoever have walked into a hackathon, learned Reach on Friday night, and then one on Sunday afternoon with no experience whatsoever. The next thing is that people think that it won't really improve their application or their process. And so here I kind of got to go into a little bit of a technical detail, which is that when you're building applications, typically you think okay, well, this application has this feature, and that feature is typically spread throughout your program. And if your program is very large and your program is written in a low-level language like Solidity or Teal, then that low-level feature, that feature has to be expressed all over the place. As a really kind of straightforward example, imagine that you built your program to originally have trade in ETH, and you want to change it to use USDC. If you want to make this change to your application, on Solidity, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to make it so that all of your calls that you used to think were going to receive money, you now have to include in them a call off to the USDC contract and say, hey, did you give me money? You have to change all your clients to make sure that they actually set an allowance before calling you. And you make a totally different change on Algorand if you were to do the same thing. You're no longer going to have what are called pay transactions. You're going to have asset transfer transactions. You're going to have to make sure that your contract is opted in to the asset. There are all these low-level details that you need to make sure of, and those details are going to be spread throughout your program. In contrast, if you were to use Reach, what you're going to do is you're going to change something that says amount. You're going to change it to bracket, amount, comma, USDC, end bracket. And then all of those changes that I just talked about will happen for you. And so we call this agility. That's kind of like the term of art in programming, where a programming language or tool is more agile if it is easier to make changes with. And so presumably you're building some application, you have lots of different features in mind. And so you have many, many versions of your program that you're going to be working on until you finally release. And then you're going to make yet another version after that. And you want to lower the cost of development, and Reach is a way to do that. Finally, there's this last kind of question about whether or not it will make any difference for your end users. And the thing is that your end users in blockchain, they primarily care about the safety of their assets. And so one of your major questions that you should ask is, how are you verifying your program to make sure that there are no mistakes? And of course, one of the special features of Reach is that there's a built-in verification engine that guarantees that all executions of your program obey valuable properties that are important to your users. This is also a cost-saving thing because it makes it so that you are going to spend less on auditing. And in a bear market, talent is tight because people are fleeing. Resources are tight, and so you want to make them last longer. And so anything that you can do to make it so you can build more with less is something that you should look into doing.
Awesome. So what I'm hearing is that now is like an ideal time for developers to learn and take advantage of the resources that they have, because a lot of these development teams do need more cost-effective developers and a safer way to build.
Totally.
So Chris talked a little bit about our desire to grow the community on Ethereum, and Reach has been EVM compatible for a while, but now is now really focused on putting greater resources into supporting our ETH community. What's your take on why we are doing this and why it's important?
Yeah. So I mean, there's like why we're doing it and why it's important, and then there's also like what impact that it actually has. I think that Chris did a good job about explaining why it's important because we think that there's going to be lots and lots of chains, and a lot of them are clearly going to be based on EVM. So it's important to demonstrate value in that place. In terms of like why it's important to do it, this is a little bit related to what I was talking about before about rebuilding something or using Reach when you already know something about Solidity.
Mhm.
A lot of there's kind of like these three buckets of Ethereum and EVM developers. There's the elite people who have been in Ethereum for a long time. These are the people who are pulling down those crazy 700K salaries. They're the people who like made Uniswap, they made the MakerDAO, etc. And those people, they are masters of the low-level EVM machine. They can eke out lots and lots of performance. They have to understand these really deep details. And they, of course, are basically building on 5 years of experience or more. Then there's kind of this other group way over here on the other side. They're people who are basically copy and pasting Open Zeppelin contracts, maybe changing a few tiny little things and then launching them and making a mistake because they don't realize what this part of Open Zeppelin or Solidity means. And then there's kind of people in the middle who are decent programmers who wanted to get into Solidity, but they have a really hard time making something totally new. Even when they try to adapt an Open Zeppelin thing, they're going to make minor changes, and they're probably not going to make a mistake like the so-called script kiddies, but they're not going to be able to make something sophisticated. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to demonstrate for that kind of group of people what the value of Reach is for them. And so, for example, for the elite people, the main advantage here is that it's faster to develop, and the optimizations that we build into the compiler are sufficient to get within, I don't know, maybe 50% penalty on top of them, which is 50% maybe sounds like a lot, but it's actually quite reasonable for compared to assembly. For the other range, the people who are just the script kiddies, they're going to be able to program with the safety net of Reach, and they're going to be able to they're basically going to move themselves into that middle bucket because there's a lower barrier to entry. And those people in the middle, the thing that they're going to get is they're going to get the ability to build bespoke applications. And so one of the things that we're trying to do with that is we want to demonstrate an example of a what we're calling a smart NFT, a customization of the ERC 721 contract. ERC 721 is the NFT standard. And 721s, they basically have like all of these little weird features that you need to implement to be an NFT. And we wanted to demonstrate that you can actually add features to that people currently perceive as being something that is not part of an NFT. So Cassandra will go into some details about this, but at kind of like the tech level is that it is that it basically integrates like the selling process for an NFT inside of the NFT itself. And this comes from making a few modifications to to extend some features of Reach to make it really nice to write these kinds of programs. It ends up being that like this 721 plus contract, like the source code for it is like half the size of the corresponding Open Zeppelin contract, which I don't know, I'm really proud of.
Amazing. I think I heard a stat being tossed around that a vast majority of the smart contracts on Ethereum are just copies.
Yeah, so like on Ethereum, there was people did some sampling, and there's about 15 million active contracts.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that like the total live contracts is about 15 million, and 75% of them, which works out to about 10 million, are copies of the same 10 programs. So that means the same 10 programs have been launched 10 million times. And that is kind of depressing because it tells you that there's not a lot of vibrancy in the Ethereum world of making new things, having new ideas. And our goal, of course, is to promote creativity in blockchain through being able to build better and more interesting things.
And last month or last quarter, you talked about lowering the floor and raising the ceiling, and I think that's what we are trying to do, especially on Ethereum. Okay, so getting a little more technical, for our developers listening, what are the new and exciting feature releases for Reach Core open source that warrant announcement this quarter, and what are you also most excited about for this quarter for your team?
Sure, yeah. So there's a few things I want to pull out. One is that we made it so it's easy to have a Reach program create another contract. This is called the factory pattern, and so we now support that on all platforms. We also made it so that it's possible to start tracking tokens that are not like on the surface of messages. So this basically means that like APIs that you implement can now learn about tokens that way. This is kind of like this is an important feature. The other thing that we did is we made it so that you can basically obey ABI standards that use the same name for different different type signatures. This is basically a way to make sure that Reach programs obey externally specified standards, like ERC 721 is a good example of this. And the other thing that we did is we added support for bytes and strings that are dynamically sized. Previously, all Reach information was statically sized, and so we support this as well. So those are things that we did last time, and things that we're doing now. Projecting is that contract feature. We're going to make that even better, so that when you use the contract creation feature, sometimes you have to like duplicate information between two different programs, like for instance, the names of the functions. And so we're going to make it so that that happens automatically. Another thing that we want to do that's kind of related to the token thing is that we're going to make it so that you can basically have a changing set of contracts of tokens that your contract is caring about. So right now in Reach, basically you have to say upfront all of the different tokens that your contract may ever care about. So for instance, you'll say, oh, I care about these 10 things, and it's always going to be those 10 things that can never change. And we're going to make it so that the number and the constituents of that can change as well. That's a pretty important feature. So notice that these are, low-level details. The thing that Chris mentioned, the box storage, that doesn't like show up in Reach because Reach already supports this. It's maps that have keys that aren't addresses and that are trustworthy. And that's something that currently is supported on Ethereum. And when Algorand adds some features, we'll be able to support it there, which I'm really excited about also. And then, of course, we have tons of like optimizations and performance improvements in mind. And then probably the last thing, which, is a really big thing, but I'm kind of underplayed a little bit, is that we're working on a cloud release of Reach, where you can use it without installing anything, without dealing with installations, without dealing with Docker, without having to, download, 2 gigabytes when we make a new release. Instead, it'll just be a high-performance cloud compiler that actually will provide more verification and more optimization than we do otherwise. We've built a static analysis tool for the generated bytecode that we produce, so we can give even higher assurance of quality of your program, both at the Reach level and at the generated bytecode level. So we think that people are going to be excited about that, new verification engine.
Thank you, Jay. I think Cassandra is also going to give some more insight into Reach Cloud. So we'll hear from you towards the end of the call. And thank you so much for providing that overview.
Definitely. Nice chatting with you, Shanti.
Bye. And now we're going to hear from our head of product, Cassandra Pernia, who manages our product development process here at Reach. How are you doing, Cassandra?
Good. Really excited to be here today to talk to everybody.
Yeah, we're super excited to have you. I feel like you work on a lot of interesting and exciting stuff here at Reach. So both Chris and Jay talked a little bit about this ERC 721 and I've been hearing about it a lot. What is it really, and why are we working on this?
Yeah, so now I get to expand on everything that Jay and Chris talked about. But as always, we want to support and inspire our community, especially the whole community of blockchain developers. And what better way to do that than actually making a functional demo, documenting it so people can see it for themselves and learn. Like we know NFTs are still going hot and tons of people are building on ETH. So for this demo, we're showing how ERC 721s can really be customized to be smarter. So AKA what they were saying, the smart NFTs. If you see here, we show the custom ability for creators to set and collect the royalties, list and sell their assets directly from their wallet versus needing to list their asset in a marketplace. So then creators and marketplaces can also show that asset if it's on chain and collect any of the finder's fees directly as well. It makes the whole process of the NFTs marketplace pretty seamless and direct. So as Chris mentioned, we focused this demo really on Ethereum in our effort to show what is possible for that community. But you'll see here in the demonstration, and just a reminder, what's great about being a Reach developer is that really you could build the best dApp, smart things like this, and launch to any audience on any chain. So just versus just being an Ethereum or an Algorand developer specifically, you could just focus on being the best blockchain developer, making cool products like this. And so when it launches, I hope everybody checks it out. Reach out to me, let me know what you think. And most importantly, we hope that having demos like this more and more really inspires the next best thing to come out of blockchain.
So do you have any information on when people are going to see this demo, when it will become available?
Yeah, we have hopes to hopefully have this demo out. Thank you for hopefully end of October.
End of October. Amazing. Okay, so moving on to Reach Cloud, which is the other big thing that you are working on, really leading the entire product strategy for this. Can you just remind us again, what is the vision of Reach Cloud? What will it allow our developers to do?
Yeah, so I think this is the grandbaby and the vision that I'm really excited to talk about. And honestly, a lot of our users are excited for this too. So we spent the last couple of months really talking to the community, identifying their needs, what their needs are, and their needs to build amazing dApps. And now we've come up with a great concept, a great end-to-end experience that we'll be rolling out over the course of the next year. If the last quarter really showed us identifying opportunities with cloud, meaning talking to the users, like we said, this quarter and the foreseeable next set of quarters, we'll see us solutioning and building and launching cloud into the market. Our mission, like they said, is to make blockchain accessible, and Reach Cloud is really just going to take our value of being the smartest, safest, and fastest further by providing a frictionless way to build, manage, test, launch your dApp. So the whole developer journey, we will have sort of facets to support you along the way. Cloud will introduce premium features like Jay mentioned, some excited ones too, like an Explorer where you can simulate and debug, premium verification features that really delivers on our goal to eliminate costly audits, better optimization, profiles for people to connect with, analytics and tooling, and hopefully tooling to help you build better interfaces. What Cloud is really going to allow Reach to do is really showcase what many of our enthusiasts already know. Reach is really more than a language. It's an end-to-end solution that allows companies to launch dApps with complete confidence in the efficacy and security of their program and build best-in-class experiences for their end users. So similarly, always hit me up if you have any questions or idea or even want to be involved in creating this experience. I'm here for it. Like we said, this product is meant for our community, and as a byproduct, we want to make sure we're building it with the community. And so make blockchain the best that it can be.
Thanks, Cassandra. So Reach Cloud, is it available for individual developers and entire development teams?
Yes, it will be available to all. So in the phases, you'll see it both for individuals, but a lot of company features as well.
Okay. Well, we look forward to hearing from you at the end of the year to see what's up. But thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shanti.
Okay, so now we're going to transition into our developer panel, and JP Miller, our incredible director of developer experience, is going to be conducting this interview and panel. So I will let him take it away and do the introduction. So thank you, JP.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Shanti. So we're bringing up 4 of our hackathon participants and winners So it's Adiame, Emmanuel, Jacob, and Sunday. So we'll bring them up. And how you doing, Adiame? Jake, Emmanuel, Sunday, how we doing?
Hi, doing good.
I'm doing fine. Hi, guys.
I'm great. So let's start with Jake. Do you want to just introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what you do? And then
Sure.
we'll go.
So me and Sunday work together on the NFT bridge, the Ethereum Algorand NFT bridge, and that was a fun project. And we've actually been working together on a few larger, more complicated projects, and using Reach for the smart contracts. I do mostly front end stuff, so Sunday's going to be your expert in terms of questions about coding smart contracts. But I've really enjoyed using it for front end.
Awesome. Can't wait to get into it. Emmanuel?
Yeah, hi, everyone. Yeah, JP just called me Emmanuel. I'm Emmanuel Agbawe. I'm a software developer, junior full stack developer from Nigeria. So I'm happy to be here with you.
Thank you. And Sunday?
Hello, everyone. Sunday Akin. Like Jake said, I've been working with smart contracts. Rich smart contracts, the first smart contract language that I learned. I really like it. It's very close to JavaScript, so I've been helping out. And I'm really enjoying it. Thank you.
And Adieme? I think you're on mute, my friend. We don't hear you. Are you on mute? Okay, we'll get it sorted. So while Adieme gets that sorted, we'll come back to you. So Sunday and Jake, do you want to start by telling us about your project?
Sure. So it's the goal was pretty straightforward. It's just a bridge to move NFTs between Algorand and Ethereum. I mean, one of the nice things about working on a simple goal is you get to focus on the implementation. I'm trying to think about what else is helpful to tell you.
Well, I guess tell us why and how it works, how the bridge works.
Sure. So I'll leave the details on how it works to Sunday, but I mean, one of the main reasons is because NFTs are useful for a lot of things, and in the stuff that we've been working on, we're building increasingly now also on Ethereum, and so it's nice to be able to move assets that we have on Algorand to Ethereum. That's really the main reason. But I'll let Sunday answer the.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. Yeah. So that project, I think some months ago, I've been thinking about, just thinking about technical solution of what can we do in terms of bridging, NFTs or tokens from Ethereum to Algorand. So in my mind, I thought it would be an interesting project, but we didn't really have a use case for it yet at that time. And eventually we saw the Bounty Act with Algorand, and it was one of the projects listed. So I reached out to Jake that, okay, I think we should give this a try. And I knew that Reach Hackathon was also going on at the same time. So we said, well, I reached out to Nick and to see if we could do that project, and it was approved. So we started working on it. So it was fun. Basically, it bridges, NFTs from Ethereum to Algorand. So any entity or any organization or any NFT creator who needs a bridge, maybe trying to move users from Ethereum to Algorand, can simply, go to that repo and kind of deploy it, and part of it is still centralized right now because it's majorly for, okay, let's say an organization that wants to bridge, tokens from, or maybe decentralized autonomous DAOs, autonomous organizations, maybe they want to do that so they can use it. And it does it bidirectionally. It can bridge from Algorand, back to Ethereum.
Awesome. That's amazing. Adieme, great to have you back.
Hi, everybody. I hope you guys can hear me now.
We hear you now. Yeah, please introduce yourself.
All right, I'm Owolabi Adeyemi, and I'm a junior backend developer from Nigeria. And it's really nice to be here with everybody.
It's great to have you. So Emmanuel and Adeyemi, you both were doing a Web2 boot camp at the same time that you're doing the Reach boot camp. Is that right?
Yeah, that's
Yes,
correct.
that's right.
Will you all tell us about that experience of learning Web2 and Web3 at the same time, and maybe some of like the differences that you learned along the way between the Web2 paradigm and the Web3 paradigm?
All right. Emmanuel, do you want to go first?
I was actually waiting on you, bro. Well, but it's fine. I go first, though. So it was really interesting us taking the Udacity Nano degree together with our Rich Boot Camp. Although it was quite stressful, I remember at a point I was like, I don't think I can go on with the boot camp. I think I would just need to finish my nano degree first, then some other time I join for the boot camp. But then GP encouraged me, Olabi gave me some push behind the back, and it was wonderful. I was able to handle my nano degree program along with the boot camp, and I just appreciated the way that what I was learning in Web 2, full stack development, and actually building contracts in Web 3 using Reach, just everything came to just seem wonderfully made together at the same time, because it made it easy for me to actually taking what I was learning with Rich, and also taking what I was learning from my Web 2 full stack developer course, because Rich was built in a syntax very close to JavaScript. So it made it very easy. So what I was learning in Web 2 just seemed easier for me to comprehend in Web 3.
Amazing. And what was your experience, Adeyemi?
It was actually really great. Like I'd actually been really looking forward to the boot camp after I missed the first one. That's the Ascent, the Web3 boot camp. And when I found out that this one was going on and we were both doing the Udacity one, I was scared at first that would I be able to do both of them. But then I looked at the curriculum and everything, and I thought that I should be able to. And then the Web2 one helps me because that was like it helped me understand back end a lot better. So that kind of helped as well with Reach, as in I can understand a lot of things a lot better as well. And even for the bounty hack, it was kind of a problem that was kind of fell into place. So that was really, really nice.
Amazing. That's great. So just anyone on the panel who wants to start, tell us about your experience of learning Reach and using Reach and what that experience was like for you.
Yeah, I can go ahead and start. So I think it was earlier this year, I think around February. So I discovered Reach and via YouTube, and I wanted to look into it, understand, the technical aspects. I wasn't even thinking I was gonna be, coding with Reach at that time, but I kind of, played with it, and I really liked it. It was an eye-opening moment, knowing that I could write, code in one language, and it can be compatible, can be deployed in many blockchains. So that was what really got me hooked. So I'll say my learning experience was really amazing. Usually when I'm learning, I'm not ashamed to ask questions. So the community was very, very helpful. So including the good questions and the not so good questions I was asking in the Discord group, and I was receiving answers. So that was what really helped me. If nobody was answering, I would have been able to learn at pace that I learned it, and ever since I was able to build my first project, second project, I was really good. So it was a very good learning experience. And the documentation, I like the documentation too. So if I've looked for something in the documentation, I couldn't find it, that's when I would come to the community. And sometimes somebody will just drop the link where it actually is in the doc. And if I have further questions, people have been very, very helpful. So very wonderful community, good learning experience.
Oh, that's great. It's great to hear. What a story. Yeah, Adeyemi, what was your experience like?
It was really great. It was really awesome. Like I actually tried the boot camp earlier in the. I mean, I tried the bounty act a lot earlier in the year, but I didn't really understand it. I didn't really understand reach. So with the boot camp and then also the weekly challenges, that helped me to improve a lot. So I started to really understand what reach was about and what was possible and what was not possible to do with reach. And the community support was really really great as well. Nick was always there to answer questions. You guys answered a lot of
That's great. Jake?
questions. The error messages.
I'm sorry,
The
Adi. I
error
mean,
messages
your
are
audio's
actually
cutting in
linked
and out a little
annotation
bit.
showing what the. Oh, I'm sorry
Your,
about that.
your audio's cutting in
Is it
and out
better
a
now?
little bit. It's okay. We'll move on, and then we'll come back to you with the next question.
All right. That's fine.
Jake, what was your experience like?
So again, I focus a lot more on the front end stuff, but I've worked on a few projects beforehand using like Web3 React and other libraries for managing interactions with wallets. And I think it was almost confusing at the beginning because Reach is so simple. Like the way you implement, the way you connect to the smart contract via the front end is kind of so straightforward that it almost took me, like I think I made it more complicated in my head than it was. And then of course, once you get it, it's much, much faster. So I've really enjoyed using it on the front end. I've done some of the tutorials, and I helped Sunday a little bit on the bridge components. But hearing what people are saying about the boot camps, it sounds like that might be something that I'm interested in doing too.
You'll have to check it out. You'll have to get into our next one.
Yeah.
So, and then Emmanuel, you shared your experience of learning with the Udacity and with Reach's bootcamp at the same time. And then you built a DAO, right? With Adiemi. Would you want to tell us about that experience of building your Reach DAO?
Yeah, it was a really wonderful experience building the DAO together. I mean, we were just completing our boot camp and we really wanted to take the skills that we have acquired through the boot camp it's a step higher, do something more than we had just learned through the boot camp. And what helped us was the weekly challenges, the meetings we do have weekly with you and Nick, which helped us a lot to implement our DAO. So we really wanted to create a platform where developers could actually bring their ideas to the general public without thinking of any sort of authorization from anyone. These their ideas can be voted upon by the public. They share their amount of interest, what they like. People can decide to contribute to support whoever had brought that idea forward. Then once that idea or that proposal passes our voting condition, it becomes a bounty. So this bounty can be picked up on by anyone in the community, anyone in our platform. So they can take up a proposal. If they are qualified enough, they actually get this proposal done or this bounty, they complete it and get the rewards from it. So we wanted to actually solve the problem rather of developers not getting work or getting jobs because of their qualification on paper. So we just wanted to build a platform where people could actually get work done with their skill without actually needing to worry about any kind of qualification or any kind of human scrutiny before they actually get the job, without considering what they can do. So when they complete a bounty with a proof of completion, they get a reward. That's what we built for the DAO, and it was really interesting.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. And then Jake and Sunday. Jake, you mentioned that you two are continuing to building a new project. Do you want to tell us about what you're currently working on?
Sure. Yeah. So we're actually in the process of building a tool to help real estate syndicators put real estate on chain. So we won't go kind of into the details about that. But we're building a production version. We have a client that we're working with, and it's pretty exciting. I mean, as we're exploring the specification for it and the functions, one of the advantages clearly seems to be that A, it'll be faster to write, but B, it seems like it's going to be a lot less expensive to audit. And so kind of knowing that we have the additional security of reach built into the contract, and the audit being less expensive, it's just it becomes much more cost effective to do more complex things. And so, in our case, the person who's offering the investment needs to be able to basically maintain like a permissioned exchange effectively among their investors. And that's something we're doing with Reach. So that's a pretty exciting project for us.
That's very cool. And would you credit the going through the outreach hack as being a direct result of doing what you're doing now?
So I think we had kind of started working on it before the hack, but I think the hack definitely kind of highlighted aspects of Reach that we could use that we hadn't really explored before, and so it was definitely valuable in the process of our development.
And then Adieme and Emmanuel, what's next for you all? Are you doing anything together or separately? What is the thing that you're looking forward to doing next? Go ahead, Adieme.
All right. First, I just want to keep learning and learning and learning more about Reach. So in the future, maybe one of the people that are actually building and actually improving the Reach language. So I want to learn as much as possible to be able to be there in the future.
Yeah, for me, just like Awolobe had mentioned, I just want to continue improving myself, continue upskilling. My ultimate goal is actually to get a job in Web3, but before I can achieve that goal, I need to be qualified. So I need to make sure I'm ready. So I'll continue upskilling myself, learning more about Web3, learning more about the underworkings of the blockchain so that I can actually build apps that will be relevant to people, and be a more professional Reach developer. So one day I can tell someone that, yeah, I know Reach, and come like I can teach you Reach, and you can also do Web3 like me too.
Amazing. All right, so for our last question for today, and we'll go through each of everyone. So what advice would you have for new developers who are out there? They're in Web 2 currently, they're interested in Web 3, maybe they've heard of Reach. What would you have to say to them, and how could they get started? And maybe Sunday, you want to hit us off?
All right, yes. So my advice would be, do the same thing I did. I had a very good experience learning Reach, and I'm still having a great experience right now using Reach. So, if it is the bootcamp, get into it. If you are more of a self-learner, you want to self-study by yourself, do it. It's going to save you a lot of time eventually, because, you're just going to use fraction of the time that you would have been spending writing code in other programming languages. That's all you're going to need if you are using Reach. So I would say Reach is a must for every aspiring Web3 developer out there.
Awesome.
For me, can I go, JP?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, for anyone who is aspiring to become a Web3 developer, anyone who is listening so far and wants to actually start his journey in Web3, I would say go for it. Reach platform is a very good start, because not only the fact that Reach as a language is very junior developer friendly for those who want to begin their journey in Web3, it also has a very wonderful community as a platform. So I'm talking about Reach as a platform here. The community is very, very engaging. Like Sunday mentioned earlier, there's always guys out there ready to help you. So if you think you are stuck with a problem, or you might be feeling right now that you don't want to enter the learning process because you could be stuck someday and there are not much videos out there, the platform can be very nice. So just join Discord, follow them on Twitter. You get their notifications, keep up to date with their events, and it will be a very wonderful experience.
That's great. Thank you. Jake or Adieme?
Sure, I have a very kind of quick thing to say, and just start with something that has sort of a simple, the user experience is simple, and then that kind of having to spend a bunch of time working out like little user interface details, not a good way to learn how to code smart contracts. So come up with something simple, and then spend your time focusing on the contracts.
Great. And Adieme, to send us off.
Yeah, I'll say join the boot camp, follow Reach on Twitter, turn on notifications, follow them on everything, do the weekly chat.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for being here with me today. Just want to say that all of your work has been extremely inspirational to me. It's been really great to follow your journey through the boot camps and the hacks. We talk a lot about what Reach can do for developers and how Reach can help developers move from Web 2 to Web 3 very quickly. And you all are very loud voices in the community. You've given a lot back in the Discord. You've served as mentors, and it means the world to us that you've been willing to give so much of yourselves to help this community grow. And from the bottom of my heart, I just want to thank you for your service to the community. And we look forward to seeing what you'll continue to build as we move into the future. Well, thank you all.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, JP.
Thanks, JP.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, JP.
Thanks, Shanti. See you soon.
Yeah, see you soon. I'm going to give a little plug for JP. Him and Nick are starting a boot camp this week. So if any of you are interested, registration is still open and you can access the link. It'll be linked below this YouTube call. So check that out and maybe you will be called for the next quarterly update on our panel. Okay, so now I'd like to move on to the growth team. We'll be hearing from our different team leads. And to start, Brandon is going to give a little bit of an update on what his team has been doing. Hi, Brandon.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm glad to be here. Glad to kind of be back talking about all the good growth things that we're doing. Chris touched on it earlier. We still are trying to get in as many developers as possible. But we are also really trying to make an impact in terms of businesses. So I think we have a graphic to share here.
Yeah. What has been some of the traction that you all have seen in the past quarter?
Yeah, so we've seen continued growth, particularly in Algorand. So we're making up more and more of the Algorand transactions and have seen that uptick. We continue to add developers every week. The Boston Hackathon was a really successful way for us to continue to add developers and see new faces come into our community as well. There we go. So yes, creeping closer. I'm hopeful by the end of the month, by spooky time, we'll hit that 8,000 developer. Keep adding and we keep building. And then the other thing is companies. So one of the things that I really are what we're seeing is companies lead these transactions, and the transactions on Algorand that are going through Reach contracts are really a good way for us to kind of mark our growth. When we talk about companies though building and projects that are building, this is really where ultimately we want to see us get to. We say, okay, developers come in, we want you to build, we want you to grow here in our space. But ultimately, what we really want is for you to successfully launch your own projects and companies. And so this is really what we're trying to see here and really validate that. It's really exciting to see your projects, your companies hit mainnet or get closer to mainnet and do that. We have Dequency doing launches, Netto launching. We see those those real exciting projects that we feel like have a lot of potential for mainstream development coming to fruition, and excited about that growth.
So can you tell me more about like these companies, especially for people that are listening, like what kind of companies can build on Reach? Who are we targeting right now? If there's anyone in the audience, how do they know if they can reach out to you or not? Like, what is the profile?
Great question. So the way that I like to think about it is to say, I'm a company, I'm building, Jay touched on it, right? We have a couple of priorities. If you're a company and you're building and you need to extend your runway and you need to lower your risk profile, reach out to us. At the end of the day, that's what Reach does in terms of yielding benefits to the company. We can talk all day about how efficient the language is, how much easier it is to code it, how much easier it is to find developers that can build on Reach. But what does that mean fundamentally to a company and to an entrepreneur is that it's going to cost less, and the product that it ultimately put out will have less risk behind it, less likely to be vulnerable to attacks, higher likelihood that it will even make it to market, that I won't exhaust my runway on my way to market. And so really when we talk about who should talk to us, if you're early in the building stages, evaluating building, come talk to us. If you're getting ready to evaluate and do V2 of an application, come talk to us. If you're looking at multi-chain strategies, come and talk to us. If you happen to work at an enterprise company and you're thinking about coming into Web3 from Web2, it's going to be hard to get a team together. We can help you transition an existing development team and get them ready to build. And if you can't build at all, come talk to us because we have builders ready to go. So we're excited about making those relationships. We'll be at DevCon next week. I'll be there and looking to connect with entrepreneurs, looking to connect with project leads that are looking to build and that need either development support or that are ready to move their infrastructure over. So come over. The other thing is we have a lot of support for your business. We have partnerships with audit firms that are ready and willing and excited to offer really meaningful discounts on your audit, similar with legal services, recruitment services, even marketing services. We want to support your business as a whole and make you successful. And we're doing the pieces necessary to do that, as well as increasing our level of support for companies. So all of that in the works. You'll see a lot of that communication in the fourth quarter. We love our developers and we want to help them kind of graduate into the projects that are going to change the world.
So yeah, you heard it here. Like if you're anyone and everyone, please reach out to Brandon. How can they get in touch with you?
I'm everywhere. I'm on not as much as Chris, but you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can come through our website. We have a number of ways to enter into the community via our website and also to reach out to us, reach.sh, and as well as the community on Discord. So we're available. We're excited. We're willing to speak with you. And most of all, just make you successful. Your success is our success in the most real, truest way.
Agreed. Thank you so much, Brandon.
Thank you.
And now we have JP up yet again. And JP's team is doing some really exciting stuff, especially this past quarter. Hi, JP.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm great. I'm happy to be talking to you directly
Likewise.
now. But also first, I believe today is your 1-year anniversary.
Today's the day.
Yeah, it's so exciting. I can't imagine, personally, I can't imagine Reach without you.
Thank you.
You bring a lot to the team, both in terms of your work and warm personality.
It's been
So we actually just created the DevX team this past quarter. Do you want to tell people like what is this team and what does it do and what are some of your goals?
Definitely. So DevX its goal is to train the millions of Web 2 developers to move into Web 3 to build dApps using Reach. So we combine documentation, curriculum, training, and the community team to create a talent pipeline that carries students from the first day of learning to hired as a Reach developer. And we're doing that within weeks. So part of the vision is to bring over Michelle. We brought over Michelle from Humble, who's owning retention and engagement now. And we have Akila, who's doing community support and is helping in the Discord. And then, of course, we have Nick Stanford, who's our new head of social learning. So we're also working with Nina's design team to reimagine our documentation. So we had some kudos from the docs from our panel. We hear a lot of feedback about that. And so we've been listening to that feedback about the documentation and the experience of using our documentation. And we're working with our really excellent designers to reimagine that and create a new user experience inside of our developer portal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think developer experience is probably the most interdisciplinary of our teams, like really touching on working with all of the different like internal verticals at Reach. Can you tell us a little bit more about the curriculum that we're making available to developers? Like we have a new boot camp starting, and I know that we have been working very heavily on our curriculum and expanding that. So what's
Yeah, the learning is very important, and that's part of the curriculum, documentation, training, the way that we train, the workshops that we hold. So we just launched a boot camp, launched this week. So this is our third boot camp cohort. Very excited for our participants and the results that we will see. We had really excellent results from the first two cohorts, and they just keep getting better. And now with the team that we have in place, I'm expecting that this cohort is going to be the best yet in terms of experience for the students and results of the students themselves. We are running an outreach hack in Malaysia currently. And so if you've been with us for a while, you may be familiar with bounty hacks, and we're rebranding that as outreach hacks. We feel this is more aligned with how we want to approach our hackathon programs. And then we just finished our Emoja outreach hack. And we had the biggest turnout ever. I think we had 57 submitted projects that were accepted. So we've also been building out our curriculum, and I think we have a slide here as part of our deck that shows the journey that developers are going to be able to expect as they move through Reach and they gain accreditation. And so they'll be in a 12-week program, and we'll take them from a Web 2 full stack developer who knows nothing about blockchain, and inside of 12 weeks, help them become an expert in Reach who's ready for a crypto employment opportunity.
Can you help us understand how does the hackathons and our boot camps, how are they related, if at all?
Yeah, so we've been experimenting with a new model of the outreach hack where we put everyone that's part of the outreach hack through a 4-week version of the boot camp, and then they spend 4 weeks building materials. In the Ascent boot camp, it's going to be, currently it's a 4-week program. It's very similar, but that boot camp is going to begin expanding into more advanced materials. So the focus on like the outreach hacks is working in teams and building something together. And in the boot camp, it's a little more individualistic, but we take a deeper dive into each like aspect of Reach, features of Reach. We get really down into the details of the Reach programming language to help developers create this intimate understanding of the language.
Okay, and then just really quickly to wrap up, we're doing a lot to support developers in their professional switch from Web 2 to Web 3 beyond just training and curriculum. So what can we look forward to in Q4?
Yeah, so we're very excited to be developing what we call the Reach Developer Index. And this is an index of our developers who are going through our accreditation programs. And what we're doing is we're creating a talent pipeline. And so we're creating this pipeline for employers. So while I'm working with the students and helping them build their talent, we're also working with employers and bringing on corporate partners who are in need of Web3 talent and connecting them through this developer index. So it tracks interests and skill level and pairs that between a talent and an employer. And so by developing talent, we're supporting founders and expanding the ecosystem.
Thanks, JP. I think that's extremely exciting and very motivating for a lot of our developers partaking in all of our programs and also all of the companies that are building with Reach. Thank you so much for your time. We
Thanks for
look
having
forward
me.
to seeing your progress towards the end of the year. And
Yes.
next, I'm going to invite up Chris, who is going to be interviewing our Reach Labs projects. So Chris, I'm going to let you take it away and provide a little synopsis of what we're doing with labs.
Wonderful. So what Reach Labs is because we're so deep into blockchain. Jay and I do that podcast, Better on Blockchain. We think about how the actual true value of blockchain and not just the hype. Every once in a while, we come up with an idea that we think like, you know what? This is something that is needed. And if we spend time putting the team together, figuring it all out, it's going to really change the world. So what we decided to do is create Reach Labs. And that's what we have now. We have 2 companies in Reach Labs. We have Humble and we have Alloy. And we're going to go talk to those teams to find out what they're doing, what they're building, why it's exciting, and why it's going to actually change the world. But first, we're going to ask Mike to come up. If you can come join me.
Hello. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Mike. How's it going?
Good, thank you.
Excellent. So you are the head of Alloy, the biggest thing in gaming. Thank you for joining me today. But first, I want you to take some time to let everybody know what the actual mission of Alloy is.
Yeah, so Alloy is really was really established to solve the inequities or inequalities in the current gaming ecosystem between developers and platform holders. And we think that by creating an ecosystem that benefits players, developers, and content creators, we can create a positive feedback loop that enables further engagement.
Right on. So why is this better than any other platform?
So
why would game developers use it? Why would gamers use it?
Yeah, so a big as a product guy, one thing we try and do is we identify problems and try and solve those problems in ways that work for the business, right? So a big pain point for players in the current Web 2 space is the lack of digital ownership with purchases, with assets, right? So if you go and you buy a loot box in Valorant or in Overwatch, for example, they launched today, Overwatch 2. But if you buy a loot box in Overwatch, you don't get to own that stuff, right? Sure, it's attached to your account, so you can use it when you log in, but you really can't do what you want to as an owner, right? Like, for example, you can't give it away, you can't trade it, you can't sell it. And if you churn out of the game, you no longer have access to it. Or if the game gets sunset, right, you no longer have access to it. And so we think we can really solve that problem by the use of blockchain, creating these digital assets that players can actually own. And if you can imagine, move from game to game to game on the ecosystem.
It's awesome. That's super powerful. So this is a big, gnarly problem. I'm guessing this is going to take, 3, 4, 5 years to build?
This is a absolutely big problem. We are actually deep into development right now. And we are looking at release of our MVP or our V1 of our platform late Q1, early Q2 next year. Amazing.
Well, that's pretty soon. What are you excited for that you've actually finished in Q3?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for asking that. So big Q3 accomplishments for Alloy was we completed our MVP 1 of our game developer platform. This is the piece that allows our game studios to log into the platform, to create their game page, and then also to to manage that storefront page. So they can tag it like for genre, game genre. They can upload screenshots. They can upload videos. They can set prices for it. They can upload builds, right? Change builds, deploy patch news, and things like that. So this is the first big tangible piece. Before, it's just been all coding in the background, building product requirements, etc. But now that we actually have this set up in a staging area, it's really exciting.
That's awesome. So we have a way for game developers to actually sign up and put their games in the store. But how many games do we have signed up so far?
Yeah, so currently we have 15 developers or publishers on the platform. So 13 of those are actually games. We have also our first VR game that has been signed. And we signed our first non-game. What's a non-game? Well, in this case, it's a metaverse live events product. So we're going to be sharing more news on that app in the future.
It's amazing. I am excited to play these games and build up my hoard of loot, and eventually die and give it all to my kids so they can do it the same thing for their kids. So
yeah, thanks. We just completed one more thing, which is a meaningful development. We completed our second game demo. So our first demo was a horror haunted house exploration open world game. This second one is a space shoot 'em up game, and two very different game genres. But they now actually read the NFTs. The same NFTs can be read in different games and manifested in different ways. So in the space game, you might get a new ship with maybe stronger shield and faster particle cannon. But in the horror game, that same NFT might give you a true different boss mechanic, boss battle.
That's amazing. Well, I am super excited, Mike. I keep up the good work. Make sure that the team feels good about all the good work as well. But I look forward to talking to you again next quarter to find out how Q4 went.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris.
All right. Thank you. All right. Next, we'll have Gustavo, the head of Humble. How's it going,
Hello,
Gustavo?
everybody. Yeah, great. Heavy
All right.
rains here in Brazil, bringing the spring for Brazil and for the crypto market as well.
Well, we're so happy to have you here at the quarterly updates. So you actually started on the team as the head of product of Humble, but now you took over and you're just being like the lead. Like how did that happen? Tell us what that felt like, and then also just make sure that people understand why Humble exists and what you're gonna do with it.
Well, from the bottom of my heart, I would say that Humble exists because we aim to bring DeFi for everyone. We are today where we are because we wish to bring financial opportunities out of people's actual beliefs. And I came across this quest because Humble was becoming a business unit inside Rich that was very product oriented. And all of our business efforts were going towards building a better product, more efficient, and bringing more opportunities for our users. And of course, the product role is to bring up different pieces from marketing, community, support, engineering, and tie all these things together to deliver the best possible to everything that is into our sphere.
So what are you proud of that you and your team accomplished in last quarter?
Well, we had high impact deliveries, but for sure the most striking experience was the frugality and the unity that the bear market brought to the team. It was a period of great learning, Working by the side of this team and this community makes me kind of emotional. But let's get to the facts. Q3 was when Humble seriously got into the game. We consolidated Humble in the market, bringing high liquidity for hundreds of tradable assets, as well as we launched the free range yield farms feature, where asset providers can freely launch their reward pools totally permissionlessly, as well as a new batch of partner farms that we are used to, new farms coming up every quarter. Outside of that, we've made consistent performance, security, and design updates. Our app is dramatically faster. New components have been added and upgraded. Well, it's visible how much the overall experience for Humble users have improved since then.
And you did this all by staying 100% decentralized. I'm not sure many other DeFi products in the market right now can actually claim that, but we can, right?
Yeah, for sure. That's such a challenge, but we all know that the effort toward decentralization surely pays off.
So, yes, I know we're in a bear market. Are you okay with talking about our traction? How did we do? How did we grow?
Well, it was incredible traction, actually. I know it's hard for decentralized exchanges to grow in this moment, but for sure, Humble is doing its bit. We are the fastest growing in the Algorand ecosystem today, and we aim to be dominant in the 3 months ahead. We are confident because we place great value on what our audience says. For example, who doesn't love passive income? I do. I know you do too, just like all of our users. That's why we are heavily invested in passive income diversity with 13 new partner-only yield farms launched with steroid rewards funds. Over 500,000 algos have been already rewarded, and there's still around another 500 to go by the end of the quarter. This intensifies even more when we talk about these free range yield farms. They come and go every day on Humble. Currently, we have 7 of them live with over than 36,000 algos being rewarded. This is what enabled us to grow 62% in total value locked from 11 million to 19 million in this period, and to almost triple our daily swap volume from an average of 84,000 to $233,000 traded daily at our platform.
That's amazing, Gustavo. Like our Humble community is, I talk to them all the time when I go out to events. They're just amazing. So congrats on this traction, especially in the bear market. I have no doubt by the end of this year, you will be the #1 DEX in all of Algorand. I believe in you. Speaking of,
gonna make it.
How are we going to do that? What do you have planned for Q4?
Well, we have a couple of cards up our sleeves. You know that Humble is synonymous with DeFi for everyone. And I can say that we will meet a long time demand from our users in our quest to make it more accessible. We are fulfilling a long-held wish of the entire Algorand community that are limit orders. I'm glad to disclose that we will give the users the possibility to automate their investments through scheduled swaps. A book of limit orders will be included in our app and will be available for all users, totally free. And so that means out of parameters like token pairs, time frames, and desired prices, we're implementing an automated order execution mechanisms. It's as simple as a regular swap, but now people can sleep or work peacefully without fear of missing out any market opportunity. And of course, there are a couple more things. Our audience can expect many more integrations with partners. support to more wallets, more payment providers, analytics, and of course, high return investment options.
What about a DAO? Any DAOs coming?
Well, let's say that yes. I hope that you guys can warm up the engines for more interaction with Humble. I mean, financially speaking, and we will love to hear more effectively from our community what they want us to do to fulfill their needs.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Gustavo, for joining us. I'm being told I need to wrap this up, so I will listen. And if we can have Jay and Shanti join us, and you have a great rest of your night, Gustavo.
Thank you, Chris.
Did I go too long?
Just a smidget, but it was a good interview.
Amazing.
Awesome. So this is the end of our call. It is time for a quick wrap up. Do you have anything that you would like to say to conclude? Any closing remarks or thoughts on the importance of Reach's mission and vision? Anything you would like our audience to take away from today?
Well, first thing I want to say is, Shanti, you did an amazing job at hosting this. Thank you so much for all of this. It was done super well. Very proud of this presentation. But I'm also actually just extremely proud of the entire team. It's this bear market. People usually can get down in the bear market, but like our team is full of extremely passionate people that are just pushing through and doing just better things I could even imagine. So, and I think all of the viewers probably have seen it as well. What do you think, Jay? Did everybody do a good job?
Yeah, I was watching along, and we didn't do like a full rehearsal of everything. So some of these things have been exciting to me. Like, I of course know these things going on, but it's really exciting to have everything combined together and presented in this way. Yeah, people did a great job.
Amazing. Well, thanks to both of you. We're almost at time, but I wanted to just say everything that you saw here today was a lot of Estuardo's work. He's not on screen, but he is our amazing head of content, and indispensable to all of us. I also wanted to thank Michelle, who helped to manage everyone on this call. But before we wrap up, Reach is hiring, and we have our jobs posted at the bottom of this, at the bottom of the YouTube. We're hiring a director of marketing for gaming, some full stack developers for Reach Labs, curriculum developers. So please check that out and circulate. Our design team is also always looking for individuals that are available to do user testing. We're trying to create the best products out there, the best Web3 products out there in the market. So your feedback is absolutely critical for us. So we have a form that you can fill in and be part of our user testing cohort. And you'll be able to work with Nina, our head of design, who is absolutely incredible. And that's it. I hope, the call gave you a little taste of, why we're so driven at Reach, why we're so excited. Despite, it being a bear market and things being slower, we're super passionate, and we hope that came through today. And most importantly, you're all a huge and critical component of our journey. So we really appreciate your support and viewing our content like this. And you continue to really make Reach what it is today and why we do what it is that we do. So take care, and we look forward to seeing you at the end of 2022 for what will be a year-end wrap. So thanks.
So much.
Good evening.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
See you soon.